Now, it's been no secret over the past couple of years, we've been running into a very significant issue for case investing. Specifically, we are running out of cases. I don't think anyone's here to deny that point. However, I don't think the extravagant realization has really occurred. If we want to look at this right here, this is the overall amount of cases dropped and unboxed. The blue line is going to be obviously these cases that are being dropped. Red line is the amount that are being actually unboxed. And as you can see, this for every single case inside of the game, except the fever in the gallery, we are consistently unboxing way too many for the amount dropped. It used to be the amount dropped would outnumber the amount consumed significantly. Now it's the opposite way around, which is a really big deal because we're running in a case deficit. Something like this is extremely obvious when we look at this. This is the amount of case listings on the Steam community market, and in the past month we went from 2.5 million to nearly touching 1 million, now around 1.5 million. This is a crazy realization that cases are running out, not just for the rare cases, but overall all across the board. Cases have gotten a lot more in demand, and the supply has not changed at all, leading to us in this situation here. Skinland is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free $10 on your first trade. It's where I personally sell my skins because you're going to be getting the highest rate out there. They're offering a maximum amount of money in a minimum amount of time, and it's going to be nearly instant with tons of different payout options. Combine that with their massive marketplace where you're going to be able to buy anything in the entire game you're looking for with a ton of different deposit options here as well. Right now, this is the #1 place to go ahead and sell or buy skins in my personal opinion, so go ahead, use code MasterShiny and check them out today. Now, because of the overall demand explosion we've seen and some of the price explosions we've seen for the case market, a lot of people have really turned to these 7 cases right here. This is your fever, your gallery, and your active duty, and a lot of people have really focused in on potential investments inside of these. However, there is a very large problem. If we want to look at these specifically, your active duty, you can really see that the price fluctuates so much in the span of a year. Right now, we're not even at peak prices, which is crazy considering the rest of the market is all at peak prices or near peak prices. These things not even close for some of them. It's very interesting to see what has specifically transpired because these cases are still not great investment opportunities in my personal opinion. If you want to look at the supply, something like the recoil, something like the fracture, we're talking 50, 60 million cases out there. Obviously, they're unboxed at a very heavy rate, but that's because they are one of the cheapest and one of the easiest options to get your hands on. All of the active duty cases are one of the cheapest options when it comes to unboxing cases other than the dreams and nightmares because it's a little bit more in demand. Now, I get a lot of people asking about the fever and the gallery case, and specifically, should they be making an investment? Is it going to be getting removed? And if we want to look at the data, we can see exactly why the fever and the gallery are in the game in the way of the armory and not in the active duty. It's because they are needed to be. Valve needs an option for people to be able to buy cases because at the current rate, cases are not being dropped enough. Even with the 1.8 million people actively playing just a couple days ago, it's not enough. Valve needs the option for people to grind out cases at an unlimited rate because we are running in a significant case deficit as it is right now, and that's with the gallery, that's with the fever. We need the situation to stay the same. They've done this in the past. You know, the Anubis package, it was released for one reason and one reason only. We had the biggest case deficit we've ever seen in the history of CS2 or CSGO. It's a huge opportunity these cases are being released, which creates a very profitable opportunity, which we'll talk about in a quick second. But the truth is, these cases are really risky investments because we know they are needed to keep the stability of the case market the way it is. And right now, things are declining in the overall health, but that's really profitable in one area. Now, the area that's really profitable is going to be rare cases. Now, we talked about this a lot, but if we want to look at the price points these rare cases have been at over the past year, we have seen very consistently they are on an increasing trajectory, and they've been almost abandoned by Valve in a really good way. That Valve is not going to be touching this area. They've seen what's happened to these prices. They've seen everything around this, and the truth is, really high case prices, as long as the demand is still there in other areas, it's actually not too bad for Valve. They're still getting the Steam tax. They're still making a lot of money, and the truth is, with the new system that Valve has really introduced for the armory with the share revenue split, it's actually quite profitable for them to keep it that way and not too great for creators, but we're not too worried about that. This is a huge opportunity for investing because they have been in a situation that Valve has pretty much said, we're not going to be touching them. The rare cases are going to stay the way they are, which means we're seeing these crazy decreases in supply. The overall demand is definitely gone down a little bit, but it's still far outpacing the supply in the overall situation we're seeing here, which means there is a huge opportunity with these rare cases. If we want to look at them, we mentioned the price points. They are going up significantly. Over the past month, some of these cheaper rare cases are still up a crazy amount for an asset that's really in a perfect position for investors. I honestly think rare cases are the #1 opportunity for a lot of people to get in right now. Now, talking about the potential supply that comes with these rare cases, because the truth is there still is a lot of these rare cases out there. Talking about the snakebite, we're still estimating over 10 million of them out there at least, but it's a very important thing to realize how long until these cases are actually gone, and all of them are on a very significant trajectory, we can look at a data piece like this where we can see the amount unboxed, the amount dropped for one specific case. This is obviously the danger zone, and as you can see, there are so many being unboxed and very few being dropped. Now this is obviously a huge opportunity because we know the danger zone is not just going to crash overnight. If we want to look at the price point on this thing, it's approaching $2, which is absolutely insane and not a price point I thought we were ever going to see anytime recently, but yet we have. And that's the case with all of these cheaper rare cases. They have exploded in price, not only because of investor demand, which has definitely pumped some prices up a little bit, but overall because these cases have become very desirable to unbox. Your older rare cases are now looking at $5, $6, $7 to unbox one case, not even including the key, which is another $2.50 on top of it. Overall, unboxing cases has gotten really expensive, and that's a really profitable thing for investors if you were able to get in on these cases beforehand, or you got some money to put towards them now. Now, talking about what you should be doing right now, it really depends on your current situation. If you got some rare cases, I would be very strongly against selling them in the current position. Obviously, we are at all-time high prices, and that is traditionally one of the best times to sell if you want to look at very significant graphs, but it's also in a very specific situation right now. We're not in a peak in the market because of hype. We're in a peak of the market because of demand and the situation at hand. These cases are absolutely exploding because they are very desirable assets, not because of the hype has just swept them up. I think it's very likely that we're going to see some more hype periods in the future, especially for rare cases. We just saw one a couple weeks ago for the older rare cases where we saw the glove case, the Riptide case, a lot of them explode in price. It's honestly very likely we're going to see those prices naturally. If we want to look at the lifetime history of so many of these graphs, we see a peak in price, we see a collapse, and then we see growth get back to that price point we were sitting at during the peak of that price. It's very likely these prices are going to be very consistently growing, and honestly, rare cases are not an asset that I would currently be selling for any reason in my personal opinion. Now, talking about my best cases to buy, first up, I've got a full video right here I would highly suggest you check out if you want the full in-depth analysis, but it's definitely going to be very split. We're in a position right now where paying $5, $6, $7 for a case investment really does not make sense for most people. We're going to be able to get a lot more cases at a lot cheaper price point that are still in the rare drop pool. Therefore, I would definitely suggest you check out either the snakebite or the clutch case if you're on a really tight budget. These are your two cheapest options, and obviously they're going to be taking a little bit longer to develop. However, they are a very cheap option, and like I mentioned, they're in the rare drop pool. They're consistently being unboxed. They've got a huge upside to them. They just might take a little bit more time. Otherwise, if you want some that's a little bit more solid, a little bit more expensive, I would highly suggest you check out either the Prisma 1, the Danger Zone, or the Prisma 2. These are the three that have really been the bread and butter for me. They are one of the strongest when it comes to unboxing numbers consistently inside of this area. The demand for these things is off the chart, and the supply is not absolutely massive. They're in a perfect position where everyone knows them, everyone loves them, and everyone's unboxing them, and obviously that's a perfect combination for a great investment. But that's pretty much all I got. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.